You are all very familiar with the culture war at this point. I mean, I imagine that's why you watch me, that's why you watch my channel, or others like mine, Hypnotic, Will of the Fans, the whole nine. And whether it be anime, or gaming, or movies, comic books, there's been a particular side of the aisle that we have been fighting against for probably a decade or so. However, many folks have ignored the other side of that aisle, and it's something that I actually think I've been pretty good about not doing so. You know, calling out both sides in this, anti-woke versus woke sort of debate. You got the religious zealots, the far right, the folks that sort of, do want to inject politics, but their own personal politics just on the other side of the aisle into any and all form of media. Your JDAs, your JFTs, your Torch Gaming, things like that. And calling that sort of thing out is important, and our girl Nuhre, friend of the channel, actually a few days ago made a video about that very thing. So welcome back to Words Paradise. I'm your host and idol, and yeah, I figured we should go over this. Obviously check out the original video as well, but she put out a video, The Gaming Culture War, Why I Reject Both Sides. And as somebody who also rejects both sides, at least both sides when it comes to extremes, I actually want to hear her thoughts on this a lot. So Nuhre, it's for you, girly. Thank you so much. Let's get into it. Before we do, hit that subscribe button. I'm a nerdy news channel, and I put out nerdy news nearly every day, regardless whether it be live streams, videos, you know the drill. Let's check out what she got to say.
I don't know. It's all about controversy and money, obviously, and it's
all right. Well, out the gate, I'm going to agree. Like let's be real. We talk about this all the time. Pocket watchers, people that do this for money. The grifting, the actual definition of grifting, whether it be the Polygons, the Kotakus, Alyssa Mercante being obsessed with money, but you got the same thing with the other side of the aisle as well. JDA came in on my live stream earlier today, they're throwing like, oh, what do you make, $200 a month on YouTube? Like, it is always, that's how you know whether someone's a grifter or not, is are they talking about the money, and yeah, you'll see that on both sides.
It's about being on the right side of history, which there's no right side of history. And history is written by the people that win, And
I mean, she is entirely correct. History, it's an old saying, history is written by the winners. Norm Macdonald got that great joke, like, oh yeah, there's been a lot of wars throughout the world. It's amazing, the good guys have won every time. How about that? Like, yeah, history is written by the winners. By the way, if you were unfamiliar with Nuhre or her content, she a real one? Like she ain't one of these like fake nerdy gamer girls in there, one of these ethos that just coming in to try and find her place in a counterculture sort of space with, oh, look at me, I've always been a nerd. Nah. Girly knows her shit, so yeah, make sure that you show some love to like real gamer girls in the space, since that's what we've kind of been advocating for Jesus, at least as long as I've been playing games. It's been a long time.
And winning in this war, which is not a war, because that's the thing, people are just delusional, like calling this a culture war or whatever, when it's just pixels on a screen, and at the end of the day, I'm
gonna disagree here. It is a culture war, because culture is what defines, your society, and when we see, whether it be the right, the left, religious zealotry with the satanic panic in the 80s to the 90s, or the wokeification of what was happening about 2012 and onward, that is going to affect culture, or that culture is going to affect society in a way that could be irreparable. So you have ideologies and individuals who are fighting against ideologies in a very civil war-like way. So I do think that calling it a war, it is apt, it does make sense. It's more of a metaphorical war, but it is a war nonetheless.
Never gonna be in agreement on what makes a game good and what makes it bad, because we all have preferences, and we all have likes and dislikes, and we all have individual thoughts, whether they believe it or not, or whether they, it is what it is. I would rather people collectively awaken and get common sense than than just fight invisible battles, because it's never gonna end. You know what I mean? People are...
I agree with her that it is never going to end. I mean, there is always going to be, it doesn't matter if the satanic panic, they lost. The religious Christian zealots lost. D&D flourished. Heavy metal music, gangster rap flourished. What happened after Columbine? They tried to shut down video games. To be fair, that was a conjoined effort between the left and the right. Tipper Gore, the whole nine. The point is, they tried to shut down video games, blame violent video games. Doom never went away. We about to get a new Doom game. Violent video games never went away. So yes, while there are going to be losing sides, There's, of course, still swaths of individuals out there that believe that rap music is the devil, or that heavy metal music is the devil. You can't read Harry Potter, you can't go trick-or-treating, things like that. So, yeah, you're never going to have everybody 100% in agreement, but if you can have a majority of your society agree on certain cultural norms, that is a victory. So it doesn't necessarily, while it's an invisible battle, it's still an important one because it's an ideological battle, which at the end of the day probably actually matters more than the physical battles.
Are just gonna find the next thing to get mad about. Veilguard was an example of everything wrong with the DEI policies in companies, and that opened a door to conversations, but people took that and ran away with it. Because the problem, that's the problem, right? Like with the entire like conversation with like Veilguard and about and this and that, is like, oh, if it has pronouns, it's woke. And if it's woke, it's the devil and it's bad and we should be upset about this. We should be mad about this. We should be, we don't like this. This is bad. This is hateful. And it's like, okay, who told you that? Because Baldur's Gate is right there and it's proof that you can
Who told you that? Like, there's a great meme that goes around, and it's gonna sound counterintuitive, seeing as what I do on the internet, but like, oh, that's a cute opinion. Did a YouTuber give it to you? And it's like the Spider-Man meme, is that a cute outfit? Did your husband give it to you? And but to be fair, that's true. Like, whether it be me or nuhre or Hypnotic or any of these individuals that we all watch on a day-to-day basis, you shouldn't be like blindly agreeing with them. It's more just like, oh, this is one source of information. Let's see what it has to say. Then you check out other sources, and you don't agree with them or disagree with them just on the basis of whether you like them or not. You should be listening to the arguments they make. Fact check them. People fact check me on my fucking live streams all the time, and I love it. So yeah, who told you? Are you genuinely concerned and upset about XYZ, or are you upset because somebody you're a fan of on the internet is upset? I think that's a great point.
Have pronouns in a game. Veilguard took that, right? And said, okay, this can make money. And instead of like putting actual effort into the end product and making it good, so that representation is seamless and it doesn't really affect anyone, it doesn't matter, and it makes it more agreeable. Because at the end of the day, we live in a society and we're gonna be exposed to things that we're not comfortable with. Like, there's gonna be conversations that we're not comfortable having, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. Instead of
only pussies aren't comfortable having these conversations, which is why I appreciate it. I mean, people say that, oh, she spurgs out on X. Like, no. She's out there saying ridiculous shit the majority of folk ain't willing to say. And that's what gravitates people towards her channel, towards my channel, towards, well, the fans. I mean, all the folks that you usually watch is because whether you agree, disagree, and you're not going to agree with everybody in every video, at least folks are speaking up, saying certain things. So yeah, if you are afraid to say something, that time is over. It ain't 2016 anymore. It ain't #MeToo anymore. You ain't gonna get fucking fired from your job or canceled or whatnot. Say some shit. Enough time has passed, and frankly, enough of us have spoken up and made stinks about certain things. The cultural tides are turning. I think most folk have realized that.
Instead of like making it more seamless and more natural, which Baldur's Gate 3 did, they took that and ran away with it of like, oh, pandering to a minority is gonna make us so much money. Like, they ate it up with Baldur's Gate 3, and Baldur's Gate 3 became Game of the Year. If we amp the ante, we are gonna be Game of the Year, and we're gonna make so much money. They completely lost the plot of, to be able to make such moves in video games, you have to be able to make a good product to begin with. Like, the base product has to...
Bingo, bango, bongo, where's the lie? Make something good. I mean, she's 100% right with the comparison to Baldur's Gate 3. Now, like, am I going to play Baldur's Gate 3? Nah, not at all. And here's the reason why. Not because of wokeness, but because as a Dungeons & Dragons fan, I fucking hate 5th edition. And I'm not going to play a game based on a system I don't like. Then... homie in my comments one point said, they make a mod to mod it to 3.5 edition, right? And like 3.5 be my bread and butter when it comes to D&D. I was like, oh, holy shit. So now, after I get through some of the backlog of my other games, yeah, your boy definitely gonna be playing Baldur's Gate 3, but with a mod that turns it into 3.5 edition, and, but even though it's not something I was gonna play because I don't like the system, it's objectively a good game. It came out with relatively minimal, hiccups and glitches. I mean, I saw some folks' games crashing and whatnot, but like, how much of that was the game versus their rig? The point is, it was an objectively good game that was objectively well made, that isn't trying to sell you a bunch of DLC, that didn't have these live service stuff. It was like, here is a game, very akin to what we were getting in the mid-2000s, what a lot of folks consider the golden age of gaming. And then you got Veilguard coming out the gate, and copying all the DEI-based things that people didn't care about in Baldur's Gate because the game itself was so good and so well crafted and didn't prioritize that stuff. They took all the wrong lessons. Like, she is entirely correct. Make a good product first, and the vast majority of folk aren't going to care about the quote-unquote wokeness, even if there's wokeness there, unless you're a JDA type or a JFT type or whatnot. And those people, of course, are going to find any reason to throw a fit about anything because it'll drive traffic to their, gay-ass little Substack page so they can make, a few cents for every few hundred or thousand clicks, as if they were to get a few hundred or thousand clicks. But the fact of the matter is, that's when the actual grifting comes in, and you see that on the right, just like the left. You try to tell me that JDA ain't just the right-wing Christian zealot version of Kotaku, Alyssa Mercante? Nah, son, get the fuck out of here.
To be solid for you to add on top of that. You cannot cut corners and take away from the foundation, because if you keep piling shit on top of that, it's gonna crumble, which is what happened with Veilguard. Because it's what happened. The lore was established, they had an amazing world, they had amazing characters, amazing magic system, amazing this, amazing that, and instead of taking that and adding on top of that and doing a gradual introduction to things, which still would have been stupid, because obviously there's things in that game like the non-binary and the trans surgery scars that simply doesn't work in the world, because guess what, there's magic. But I feel like that's obviously common sense of one thing is not like the other. That's the problem with people like this, is like, oh, but you said this about this, why is it okay in that? Because it's not the same. And I wasn't mad. That's what a lot of people don't understand. I wasn't mad about trans representation in video games. Or top surgery scars. I'm upset that you detract from something. You subtract things from a very good plot and a very good foundation to suit I'm
gonna say something. In a way, I'm gonna agree with her and disagree with her, because I do think that there are levels to this stuff, and this may upset some of y'all. And if you know what, fair enough. You don't have to agree with me on this. That's the whole point of the internet and free speech. And again, as I say at the end of every video, freedom of thought. Look, she's 100% correct in the I'm not upset about trans representation in video games. Guess what? Neither's your boy. To a certain extent. I mean, games got ratings for a reason and shit. And now, if you be putting all them trans representation and titty scars and rated E for everyone or T for teen games that kids are obviously going to be playing, Kingdom Hearts or something like that, yeah, no, go fuck yourself. Because at that point, you are 100% trying to push an ideology on children. You're trying to normalize this to children. You gotta put that shit in a rated M game. Go for it. If you do that, it better good goddamn well fit the world of the game. It better fit the lore, which it doesn't in Dragon Age, like she was saying. Or, I mean, to be fair, there was a trans character in Hogwarts Legacy, and the vast, vast majority of the folks on the right who were championing that game didn't give a shit. It's a one-off NPC that, let's be real, it just isn't a big deal to the story. Now, again, that game is rated E, or not E for everyone, I believe it's rated T for teen, so even then, but they don't make a big deal out of the fact that the character's trans. They didn't lead with that in the advertising. It doesn't do anything egregious in terms of pushing the lifestyle there. It's just, the character is there, happens to be trans, move on, whatever. And yeah, in that regard, it's fine. You're not creating a character and putting titty scarves on your 13, 14-year-old Hogwarts person. So, I get what she's saying, and frankly, I do agree with her to a point. But again, you should get mad about trans representation stuff when it is actually targeting children and when it is actually trying to destabilize the mentalities of these very malleable kids.
Narrative and a very obviously political agenda, because it is what it is. It's the writing is on the wall. And if I had made my entire critique, which is what a lot of people don't understand, I get, and I've been talking about this entire stream, controversy sells. And talking about how icky top surgery scars are in a video game, and how delusional like trans people are sells and gets click and gets views. And I did mention like, hey, this doesn't make any sense, but not because I think trans people should die or we should never see a trans person in a game ever, but it,
I mean, statistically speaking, they're probably gonna, but anyway.
it's when you put like modern day terminologies and thoughts and agendas and politics and ideologies into a medium that it's completely detached from reality. It's not speaking about a modern day tale, or it's another retelling of reality, which sometimes, in a horror game, it's reality, it's, the world that you're like used to, but then it has fantasy aspects to it, or like, supernatural elements to it. But with fantasy and sci-fi, they're completely removed from reality. So you cannot...
And again, she makes a fantastic point. I want my Resident Evil games to be as realistic as possible because the horror comes from the realism factor. Like, hey, these zombies, they are created from a virus. There are pharmaceutical companies out there, looking at you, Pfizer, that might be trying to pull something like this. Like the horror of Resident Evil comes from how close to reality that game could be, whether it be graphically, whether it be from the story, whether it be from the limited resources that you can use to survive, whether it be from the chase of these otherworldly monsters. So yes, while it's obviously fictional, while the monsters are fictional, the closer to reality a horror game is, the more terrifying it's going to be because it focuses on embracing the fears of what we could have in the real world. Juxtapose that to fantasy, when fantasy is the purest definition of escapism. It is quite literally another world. Again, nuhre just spitting facts after facts after facts. This ain't gonna be fun if I don't get to disagree with you more, girly. God damn!
Not add modern day terminology and ideologies to it because it completely takes the player away from the media that they're trying to enjoy. And that's exactly what Veilguard did. It didn't add to it, it subtracted, which is such a simple concept to understand. A lot of people just don't get it. And the opposite of that is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. And again, oh, you don't care. It's not about Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. When I, talk about Kingdom Come, it's because it's the most recent example of why one thing is not the same as the other. And you cannot judge two titles by the same parameters because it just simply doesn't work like that. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, whether people just want to twist the truth to suit their narrative, which you can do that, but I'm not going to sit here and believe that or like agree with you just to get views because I don't want to do that. But Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, it's an action RPG. I don't care if you want to say that it's an action game with RPG-like elements. The RPG, it's very predominant in Kingdom Come, okay? Same thing with Baldur's Gate 3. It had woke aspects. Sure, woke, it's the word of the week, the month, the year, whatever. But you cannot expect to sanitize everything to suit your liking because it's exactly what other people were doing. You cannot expect...
Bingo, bango, bongo, once again, just absolutely killing it. Yes, the more we see the JDAs and the Razor Fists and the Melanie Macs and the this, that, and the other and all these freaks over at Fandom Pulse or wherever it may be try and say, oh, we need to ban this game. Oh, this game features child sodomy, when they are blatantly misrepresenting their audience, when they are lying, when they are either outright lying or even lying by omission. How is that any different than what Alyssa Mercante did when this whole Gamergate 2.0 controversy started, when she blatantly lied about Brutus Rambo, about his curation list, the whole nine? So yes, if you are vehemently against Alyssa Mercante and what was going on with that, and Kotaku and Polygon and all, then you should morally and philosophically, for consistency's sake, be against what's going on over at Fandom Pulse, be against JDA, John F. Trent, and all these individuals that are trying to lie and obfuscate and twist the narrative in a way that fits them for their ideological bend, also puts money in their pockets, as little as it may be, since, Fandom Pulse has been relegated to a Substack since they couldn't actually afford, their own full-on webpage. But the point is, they are doing the same thing, but from the opposite side of the coin. Now, if you agree with them and their take on the subject, well, for one, you're wrong. Like, objectively, you're just factually incorrect about the situation. But by all means, you are free to agree with them. You are free to hold that position. But by that token, that does, in fact, make you a hypocrite, and it also shows you didn't actually care about the argument, you didn't care about the moral or philosophical consistency, you just cared about an echo chamber, and you cared about your morals and your ideals and your virtues being dominated over theirs, as opposed to wanting to keep things apolitical, or whether you want to keep this sort of stuff out of gaming on either side. And you should at least probably be honest, not just with everybody else, but just self about that as well.
To see less black people and less gay people in video games.
Okay, to be fair, less black people in video games. Black people are so gross. No, I'm joking.
The other side wants more black people and more gay people. Because you're asking the same thing. People in their late 40s, 50s, 60s even, are completely baffled by today's culture war, which is insane. And it just goes to show that it's a...
I don't think she is correct there. I mean, my granny was a gamer my whole life. That's how I got into gaming. She was very familiar with this sort of stuff. My grandfather is very political. He's very aware of the culture war. I think I actually don't think he's centrist enough. I think he's too far to the right. But again, he's old, but he still understands the culture war. But my father, who is normie as hell. I mean, me and my father got together. We watched the Super Bowl. We go see Star Wars movies together as well. Like, he's played video games, but he's not a gamer. You know, my father is normie in about every regard. He is the greatest example of white picket fence apple pie American. When he saw Indiana Jones 5, he texted me afterwards saying, "Whose dick did Kathleen Kennedy have to suck to get this movie made?" My dad is almost 60, guys. So, like, that's... I do think that there are, more folks are aware of this culture war, even when you start getting up into certain age brackets, than I think a lot of us younger people who are on the internet making this sort of content realize. I mean, just look at your own viewership and analytics on YouTube. You might be surprised how many are in the, like, you know, the 50 and 60 age ranges when you look at those numbers. Yeah, my dad knows who Kathleen Kennedy is. He knows who Kevin Feige is. He sees everything that's been going on in the culture war as of late. When we got out of Endgame, Avengers Endgame, his exact comment was, "I guess there's a little bit of liberal in me after all, since I teared up at the black guy getting the shield." Like, him acknowledging that that's a liberal position, it just goes to show that he was, even if he didn't know about the terminology of the culture war, he can at least see and feel the presence of a left versus right dynamic culture war. So no, I think Nuhre is entirely incorrect there, but by the same token, she's also in Spain. Maybe the dynamic in Spain is different, but in America, nah, I think she'd be wrong by them standards.
It's a sign of the times, you know what I mean? Because people that are not that active on social media, or back in the day when they were like playing games, social media was not even a thought in someone's head. They have been, playing games with woke aspects, which back in the day was just called reality, which is what it is now, because I feel like woke is a very specific thing for me. Woke means injecting like ideology and agenda and politics where it doesn't belong. That's woke.
Not only where it doesn't belong, but also when you put, because I would agree with the majority for definition on woke. I would go into a bit further, but this is already going to be a really long video and we still have more to cover. But the point is, not only where it doesn't belong, but at the detriment of the story or characters, or at the expense of the story or characters. When you put that sort of ideology and your virtue signaling as the #1 goal in your product, and the story and characters and gameplay and whatnot are all secondary to that message, peak woke.
For me, a gay character in an RPG is not woke. A black character in a game is not woke to me, because it works. If it doesn't work, it's woke. If every 2 seconds the character is asking about how hard they have it because they're a black woman, and how, they're a minority and no one likes them, and how racist the world is, and how evil white people are, that's woke. But if it's just a black character...
Honestly, no, not even that. Imagine you got a black character that's doing that at the start of the game, and as you progress through the game, they find out that they are living the life of a perpetual victim, and their character arc is actually growing out of that mentality into realizing, oh, maybe everyone in the world has struggles and not everything is about me and my skin color. Wouldn't be woke then, would it? But the character starting off would have been bitching about how racist everyone and everything is and this, that. So it depends on the writing as a whole, because, I mean, that would make a very very interesting character art for a modern game. You got yourself a black character, you got yourself a little Neat or whatever, that comes out of you know, the darkness of thinking, darkness, that the world is against them because of their skin color. That would be the antithesis to woke. But again, it's just a hypothetical. No one in, you know, Western gaming will ever do something like that.
Being a character, a good character on top of that. It's just a game. It's just media. It's just reality. As a content creator myself and as a writer, your reality bleeds into what you create. But when you take that...
I don't agree with that, by the way. Your reality bleeds into what you create. I mean, it can. It absolutely can. But I do not think that that is inherently true.
You turn it on its head and then you on purpose try to represent a reality that doesn't exist, the reality that you want it to be true, then that's woke. It is. We live in a society and that's the reality of it. And at the end of the day, we all want to see a little bit of ourselves in the media that we consume, but it's unrealistic to try to see yourself in every single movie and TV show and game and book and this and that you consume.
Again, she's correct. Everybody does like seeing something they can identify with themselves. We want to see things that are intrinsic to us as, you know, our character in real life. Like, you know, I don't care if the character is white or black or gay or straight or male or female. Do I see something in their core values that I can resonate with? Whether it be Han Solo or Leon Kennedy or Sonic the Hedgehog or Maze Hughes from Full Metal Alchemist, Goku, or hell, Krillin. I mean, yes, anytime I look at these characters, I'd be like, man, there's something I have in common with this character. It's always about who they are as characters, and never the surface level bullshit. So yeah, everybody wants to connect with characters or certain stories in that regard, but not when it comes to immutable characteristics. Frankly, I probably have more in common with the character of Princess Leia than Luke Skywalker when it comes to core values, and that's not a problem whatsoever. I like Princess Leia. I mean, hell.
It's just unrealistic. I cannot expect every single book, movie, TV show, game to have a female-led protagonist. Like, I shouldn't expect to see someone that looks like me in every...
Oh, that's right. Stretch yourself, girly. Yeah, show off them hips. Love you, nuhre.
That's why I like RPGs, especially, you know, because I can make whatever the fuck I want, and I can make bad bitches and female-like characters that kick ass, because I can roleplay as such. But I cannot play Halo or The Witcher and expect to be able to change the gender of Master Chief or Geralt, because it's not realistic and it's not needed. Sometimes you have to just take things for what they are and enjoy them for what they are. I understand wanting to criticize things and wanting to make things better. Okay? But you cannot just try to make things better for you or for a group of people that think like you, because it's just not achievable. It's not realistic. We all have to agree that you have to push and you have to retreat at some point, because it's just how life works. No one is ever gonna bend over backwards to suit what you want. And if you want to see something in media that is exactly what you want to see, you have to make it yourself. I think
which we have been saying for ages. You know what? If you want this so bad, do it yourself. Go out there, be creative. Now, it just so happens that a lot of this shit don't sell. The farting Harley Quinn comic ain't gonna sell. I Am Starfire didn't sell. Dustborn didn't sell. Concord didn't sell. What's the name of that? Mad Max Furiosa didn't sell. Frankly, not because it was woke or anything, but just because it was a bad movie. But the fact of the matter is, we see this stuff and it don't sell. The Acolyte didn't sell. Because while you might want to see this, you modern audience, all 2% of you that exist, look, have fun, create it. No one's stopping you from creating it. But it's not going to sell, it's not going to make money, so you're not going to get more of it. You're going to be doing this at a deficit. Maybe, just maybe, it's because your wants, your needs are unrealistic and unattainable, maybe taper your own expectations and go back to wanting some sort of normalcy, or continue being creative and making whatever little small niche thing you're gonna make. But don't ever expect it to be, part of the cultural zeitgeist or part of mainstream success. I mean, just make yourself a web comic, and if you got 3 readers a month, by God, at least you made something for you, even if it's absolute trash. But you can't just go out there and demand, well, it's got gays and blacks and trannies and women, it should be top of the charts. No, maybe you're just not that good, or maybe folks don't want that. But hey, at least you went out and did it, and no one stopped you.
We can all agree that DEI is bad. Even people that are represented, most of them, people with brain cells, agrees that injecting DEI into media, it's not sustainable because the representation, it's absolutely like virtual signaling. It doesn't really represent anyone because it's just pandering and it's obvious, and no one wants to be talked down to and no one wants to be lectured. No, we can all agree on that, I feel like. But we also have to agree that extremes don't get anything done. And every single day,
Bingo, bango, bongo, extremes don't get anything done on either side of the aisle. Someone left a comment under one of my videos the other day, and it was, mwah, chef's kiss, beautiful. Extremists on both sides have one thing in common: both hate moderates. And if that ain't the God's honest truth, I don't know what is.
people get more and more extremist in their views, thinking that, oh, because you got an inch, now the war is won. And burying someone else's stakes, instead of thinking for yourself, it's how we got here. Like, I love how people like to say, like, oh, respecting people's pronouns is how we got here. I don't care. You do what you want to do, I'll do what I want to do. But it's like,
say again, I'm going to disagree with her here. Respecting people's pronouns, it is how it got here, because due to being the vast majority of folks that would not normally respect pronouns, due to their fear of being fired, having food taken out of their children's mouths because they were not, they lived in a fear of not being able to provide for their families because we were caught up in this culture of these vocal minorities have the power. Yeah, that is how it got here. Like, now, I'm never gonna fuck about pronouns in terms of, like, I'm gonna call a dude that pretends he's a woman a dude. That being said, if you're a tranny and you're super chill and cool and polite and you respect me, sure, I'll respect your pronouns. I mean, I'll do my best. If you straight up be looking like Crocodile Dundee or some shit, it's gonna be real fucking hard. But if you pass, if you like Blair White styles of passing, yeah, dude, I'll call you a she, absolutely. That being said, but no, it is true. Like, respecting pronouns brought us here, because that was politically, culturally, socially, and economically forced upon us, and people did not have the means to fight back unless they were in a position where they could represent themselves without any fear or loss of income or whatever their clout was at the time, whatever it may be, whatever the social currency was or the real life currency. So yeah, no, I'm sorry, I got a hard disagree with Nuhre on this one.
like, oh, yeah, well, guess what? Letting you run rampant on the internet, thinking that you're a savior, the second coming of Jesus, and that you yelling at someone online, it's gonna change anything. It's also how we got here to begin with.
I mean, she ain't wrong there. She absolutely ain't wrong there. Yeah, too many folks being fucking gay-ass keyboard warriors, not saying shit they won't say in real life. I could guarantee goddamn to you, ain't not a thing I've said on the internet that I would not also say in real life. You wanna know how I can guarantee you that? Because I've gotten this shit kicked out of me a lot in real life for saying what I probably shouldn't have said in real goddamn life. Like, your boy don't know when to shove. You'll take me to a bar or whatnot, because if an altercation starts, I'm the worst person to have around, because I will say shit I shouldn't say, and I'm tiny, so I'm scrappy. But I mean, let's be real, weight classes exist for a reason. The point is, your boy could jack his jaw. Whatever I say on the internet, you can trust I will say in real life. But ain't enough motherfuckers out there like that.
It's letting people think that they can speak for everyone else. How we got here. And no one having an individual thought and everyone being in an echo chamber is exactly how we got here. I had you wrong, Ara. For a time I thought you were super right-wing, and because of some stuff in chat and couldn't support, and I apologize for getting you wrong. It's fine. I understand. I can expect people, and again, that's the problem as well with a lot of people that think that I betrayed them now, that I am woke now. Because why am I defending gay options in an RPG? Because every single RPG that I have played has gay options. And I know when a game developer is talking down to me and lecturing me, or
Before she goes on with this point, I just gotta say, yeah, for those that are like, oh, I've subbed to you for every video till you did the one thing with the opinion I didn't like, unsub, go for it. Go fuck yourself. No content creator that is actually honest with their audience gives a fuck if a fair weather subscriber decides to peace out because they didn't agree with one thing. So yeah, when this commenter says, you know, I'm sorry for getting you wrong, you're more based than I thought or whatnot, that's a nice sentiment. It's cool that you were able to actually go the extra mile, figure out, you know, what nuhre actually stands for, things to that effect. But by the same token, yeah, it doesn't really change. If you had never figured that out and you're like, oh, I can't support you for XYZ reason, I mean, okay, you're only subscribing now because you agree with her stance, not because you agree with, like, oh, I like the content, or I enjoy you as a person even though we disagree. I'm sorry, most content creators aren't going to give again, that are authentic, aren't going to give a fuck about fair weather supporters. If you can agree, disagree, have a conversation, whatnot, totally different story.
when they're just giving me options. Like, I've gotten that a lot lately of like, oh, now you're changing your tune, whatever. It's like, no, my tune has always been this. But some people just want to, and again, I've said that. It is very cathartic when you have thoughts about something. And someone like me, who is very outspoken, I'm loud, I curse a lot. I
Yeah, you do.
out those thoughts aloud. But I cannot have the same thoughts you have 100% of the time. I'm gonna have some takes that you just simply don't agree with because we're different people and we exist in different bodies with different life experiences, and we have been raised in different circles, and it's just reality. And the fact that people don't understand that we can agree on some things and disagree on others is baffling to me, because that's just reality. It is crazy.
I mean, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I've got my beliefs, and my audience is going to have different beliefs, and that's fine. And we can talk about it in the comments, or when I'm live streaming and whatnot, and you want to put in your chats or whatever. Yeah, but I've gone on record saying any video game ever, by all means, throw a trans character in there. I do not care. Let the market decide. Now, like, personally, I don't like that shit. I think it's weird. I think it's creepy. I think it should be kept away from kids. However, I will never stifle somebody's freedom to put something like that in a game. And guess what? We will let the goddamn market decide, because 9 times out of 10, the market has straight up rejected that shit. Money talks, BS walks.
That it's you're with me or against me, when in the history of humankind, of mankind, we have never, like, 100% unanimously been in agreement ever. And that's okay. It is okay to disagree. We're always gonna disagree. And the fact that people think that they are gonna unanimously, like, make something happen, it's absolutely, and it's stupid, because it's never gonna happen. Gay or no gay, people like the game. It is what it is. It's the way that it's always been, man. I'm sorry to tell you this. It's just reality. We just like to have fun. People voted with their wallets. That's the thing that I don't understand with these arguments, is like, so people voted with their wallets with Veilguard, and that was okay because it flopped, and it was gonna flop even before release. And people voted with their wallets with Kingdom Come Deliverance, and it's a commercial success. But all of a sudden, it's like, it's manipulated. Like, oh, there's something wrong about this. There's something going on. It's not right. Or maybe it's just a good game, and people enjoy it, and people like the first one, and now they like this one. At the end of the day, people care about the experience and the gameplay, and they are enjoying the game. So are they all wrong for doing that? Are they wrong for, like, are in the wrong side of history for playing a game and having fun, despite the fact that it has a gay romance in it, and it's woke?
And optional. Gay romance, by the way. Optional.
Why so why it's so hard to understand that people might enjoy woke stuff.
Okay, well, it's hard to understand why people enjoy woke stuff, because woke is inherently negative. It is a pejorative. There's no way to positively portray something woke, because if you are going to do progressivism properly, then it's not woke. It is very much that. It is just actually progressive, or it fits the narrative of the story, therefore it's not woke, because it's not that progressivism or that ideology or whatever is not taking priority over the story or characters. So yes, it is very hard to fathom why people would like woke shit, because like woke is objectively a bad thing. It's just like, I cannot fathom why somebody would like a shit sandwich. Like, no, you are literally eating a two pieces of bread with human defecation, filled between those slices. However, you can like shit that has gay characters in it, or black characters, or whatever, because that, like you said earlier, does not inherently mean woke.
I just don't understand. Because maybe it's not woke at all, and you just have a warped perception.
Alright, I should have let her finish. Goddamn, she cooking. My bad, nuhre.
And there's no differentiating, like, fiction and reality for some people anymore. And you guys don't understand that woke aspects have been in video games since the beginning. And no one batted an eyelash because people were grown-ups back then. I don't care who you think I am or how should I react to things. Like, that's the thing. Like, I don't owe you anything the same way that you don't owe me anything. I've had people, like, agree with me, the same people on one tweet, and then disagree with me in the next. It's almost like that's the whole fucking point. And people are allowed to have different opinions on different topics. And I'm not one-dimensional. I'm sorry to tell you this.
Oh, hell no, you ain't. You got all three dimensions, baby.
Miserable and sad and pathetic online, fighting with every single person that doesn't have the same opinion that I do about something that I can choose to buy or not buy. The same way that these people are not changing the world but injecting DEI into video games, the same way that they're not going to change, how people feel about trans people or gay people or black people just because they like plaster them everywhere. It's the same way the other way around. You're not going to make trans people or gay people disappear just because you don't see them in video games. It's just they're pixels on a screen. It's crazy that we're even having this conversation. Like, you think you're changing anything. You're not changing nothing. They're not going to change the world, and you're not going to change the world either. And the fucking faster people realize that this is a thing, the better. Honestly, you are nobody and I am nobody. A lot of YouTubers bigger than you have fallen from grace. Yeah, because
I was expecting her to go full nihilist, okay, you do you, girly.
They are disingenuous. But that's the thing, just because you disagree with me doesn't make me disingenuous or cancelable or whatever. Like, and because we know then Avowed is gonna come out, and I'm gonna have base takes on Avowed, and people that you're gonna be agreeing with me, and it is what it is. It's almost like we have different preferences. I know that people are not gonna agree with me on everything, and it's completely fucking like stupid and retarded to think that everyone is gonna agree with me. I don't want people to agree with me. I don't want just men around me. But it is the mentality of you're with us or against us. And you know who else has that? The woke left. And people like you are exactly like the people you claim you hate. You are extremist. You are an activist. You're pushing an agenda. You're pushing your political views into other people. You are the people you claim to hate.
Bangle, bangle, bang, would you look at that? What a based-ass rant from my girl there. Again, yeah, for full transparency, yeah, nuhre and I, we're friends, we talk, we have fun, whatever, but, just like she said, we don't have to agree all the time. Just like when you watch SNH, how often is the panel in complete agreement? Now, to be fair, usually it's your boy being a heel and whatnot, but the point is, it's never an echo chamber, because if you are actually anti-woke, if you actually care about getting ideologies out of whether it be gaming or movies or comics, whatever nerdy medium you're into, or even non-nerdy mediums, so you want to get DEI and wokeness out of the fucking NFL, the point is, you have to reject ideological supremacy on both sides. Like nuhre said, we are never going to just, like, get rid of trans people in gaming as a whole, nor should we, because if you ban something like that, and there's an artist out there that wants to actually create a character and story or whatnot that is trans, and it comes from, like, an earnest artistic yearning and want, no, I do not believe in stifling artistic creativity from one side or the other. I just believe on letting the market decide. So, yeah, no, at times we're going to agree, at times we're going to disagree, and I don't see, until recently, really the advent of Goonergate, which still I think is a fun name to this day, was a great thing, because it really opened the eyes of a lot of the actual anti-woke individuals, that their crusade had been usurped by these freaks on the fringes, the Melanie Macs, the Razor Fists, the John F. Trents, the John Della Roasteds, all of them faggot-ass motherfuckers are the ones that, tried to co-opt your movement, and when the left and the wokies and all these folks say, oh, well, look at all these radical right-wing Nazi racist Republicans out there, that's because people like that actually are those labels, and now that's going to be applied to all of us because we let them in the movement. Because just like we say, oh, we didn't gatekeep hard enough, now all these wokies are in our fandom. You didn't gatekeep hard enough against the religious, zealotous, right-wing Christian, whatever. I was speaking as a Christian, by the way, because I'm sure most of you know I don't fucking hide it. But yes, extremists on both sides need to be gatekept, and I think finally, the anti-woke community is actually stepping up and saying, we may not have gatekept hard enough either. We should probably do a bit better about that in the future. But those are just my opinions. nuhre, great video, guys. If you have not subbed to her, if you have not checked her out, go for it. She is an amazing gal, and beyond that, like, it's not just about culture war shit with her. Fantastic lore videos. Again, she is a real bad to the bone nerd. She knows her shit about 40K and the like. So yeah, check her out. Hit that subscribe button. Also do the same for me. Hit that subscribe button. I'm a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news nearly every day. Not always in video format, but live streams, other people's shows. You know how it goes. Not always about video games either, but anime, movies, music, Magic the Gathering, you name it. Check me out on Instagram at wordsofparadise_Leon and become a member for $4.99 a month. You can join the Discord. Choose the articles I go over on a day-to-day basis. Choose the videos I react to on my Friday night live streams. And of course, get involved with over 150 other vital idols. We are a bright, beautiful, glowing, vibrant community that I cannot wait to grow even further because we do care about diversity. But just one kind. Diversity of thought. If that's interesting to you, join the Discord, hit subscribe. But until next time, it is all here in the Nerdosphere. This has been Words of Paradise.